Hello, hope you're having a good day. Let's talk about history today. Why do we study history? I think it is important to understand where we've been, to plan where we're going. Humans have come a long way from being lonely wanderers, food gatherers, to where we are today sophisticated civilization, self sustaining in almost all aspects. What is a civilization? It is an advanced state of human society having its specific culture and its way of life during a particular time in a particular part of the world. So the things we see today will not be the same 10 years down the line. Things, civilization, understanding, acceptances, perceptions, technology. So everything will change. So we're in a constant state of change. And we have we're privileged to be part of a very, very old civilization that has constantly been changing, but we're deep rooted to understand where the base is, where the foundation is, and to learn from it, to gain from it, to work on it, innovate, and become better. If you look around, if you observe that all the major cities in the world are situated on banks of different rivers, be it Delhi, be it Lucknow, be it Calcutta, be it London, be it different civilizations, the Mesopotamian, the Egyptian, all these civilizations have settled down on banks of different rivers. Why so? Because rivers provided water for everyday use. They were an easy mode of transportation, and they provided the fields with irrigation. The main reason why man decided not to be a wanderer and settle down. So from these small villages which were formed when wanderers got together, created families, and decided to stay in one place. And then they grew. Villages became towns became cities, and civilization started. And that's how we spread. Talking about the Indus Valley civilization, just visualize the map of India and Pakistan, starting from Jammu and Kashmir, coming down to Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, Rajasthan, going into Sindh, Pakistan, and then look at the trail of River Ravi and Indus, how it flows. So that's the extent of the Indus Valley civilization. It covered a huge area, around 12 lakh 99,600 kilometers. It's a huge, huge area, and it dates back to about 4,500 years from now. That is what is the basic assumption, and that is the age. But what is the most wonderful part of it is that the civilization was not as you would have imagined things 4,500 years back. It was way ahead of its time. We couldn't nomenclature them as essentially old, because in their way of life, in their plannings, they were pretty modern. Let's read about them. See the different names that are used for civilization. One is the Indus Valley civilization, then is the Harappan culture, and it's also called as the Bronze Age civilization because most of the tools and utensils and figurines during this time and in this civilization, they were made out of bronze. Let's talk about the origin before we move any further. In 1921, an Indian archaeologist, Dayaram Sani, found some seals at Harappa. Now, these seals essentially were made of terracotta, stamped. They were used to carry messages. They were used as a medium of exchange. Okay. So these seals were found at Harappa. It's a place. And another archaeologist, Rakhal Das Banerjee, he found the same seals, ditto, at Mohenjo-daro, another place. So when you see the spread of the similar seals in two places set apart, you know that these people were interacting together. They had, you can establish that they had similar culture, and that is how this led to the assumption that both archaeological sites were part of the single archaeological culture. Based on these findings in 1924, the then Director General of Archaeological Survey of India, John Marshall, declared the discovery of a new civilization in Indus Valley and coined the name as Indus Valley Civilization. Now, many archaeologists have given their assumptions to try to give a fixed date to see the extent of this civilization. Sir John Marshall had put it to about 4000 to 2500 BCE. BCE stands for before Christian era. Sir Mortimer Wheeler put it around 2500 and 1700 BCE. Dr. A.K. Usalkar, he puts it around 3250 to 2750 BCE. So if you have a comparative study, you can come at an understanding that the era of Indus Valley civilization was from 2500 to 1500 BCE, before Christian era, which makes the Indus Valley civilization approximately 4500 years old. The extent we've spoken about, around 12,99,600 kilometers, covering areas of Punjab, Sindh, Rajasthan, Gujarat, some parts of Balochistan, border areas of western Uttar Pradesh. Its main centers were Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Lothal. Lothal also happens to be Kotdiji, Chanhudaro, and Alamgarh. The extent of the civilization is huge. Not many in the world's history have had this kind of extent. We'll talk about the society during this period. The society was essentially divided into three groups. The first group, which consisted of the rich merchants and the priests, they were essentially the ruling class, and they lived in the citadel area of the city. The citadel area is the fortified area in the center of the town. Then came the lower merchants. They lived in the lower town, followed by the labor class that lived in the huts just at the outskirts of the town. The dress. Now the men wore shawl and the women wore stoles on the top covering the top part of the body, the upper part of the body, and they wore something like a dhoti to cover the lower part of the body. Clothes were made both of cotton and wool. They have found spindles, so we know that they knew the art of weaving and spinning. The spindle is a tool used for weaving and spinning. The people were fond of wearing ornaments. They wore ornaments made of gold, silver, and other metals. All these have been found. People wore necklaces, amulets around the arms, finger rings, bangles, churis. Ornaments were studded with precious and semi-precious stones. Then we have also found burnt grains that tell us that they ate grains like wheat, barley, lentils, chickpea, and sesame, till. Fish was the main food. They lived next to the river. Lothal was next to sea. They kept domesticated animals like sheep, goat, buffalo, and pig for the meat, for milk, and for fur. Fur was used as to cover the body, also for blankets, and also as a medium of exchange. Now, the town planning is the highlight of this civilization. It was of top quality. The streets intersected at 90 degrees. The size of the street ranged from 13 feet to 34 feet in breadth, and they were made in such a way that dirt and filth would not accumulate on the streets, and they were at an incline. It would be washed, and the drains would carry it. They had a wonderful drainage system, would carry it to the rivers, and then it would take it to the sea. And people lived in houses made up of bricks. So we see that we have this really, really advanced civilization way back